Hey everybody, welcome to the team call. We're going to get started in about 1 minute. So grab your coaches, remind them good morning, good afternoon, and we are going to get started just in a minute or so. Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know a bunch of people are hopping on live, so I've got a cough drop in my mouth. But welcome to Thursday's Dynasty United, like 12:15 lunchtime power call. So I'm so excited about today because we have an awesome guest speaker. You guys, happy June, first of all. Congratulations on an awesome June. I love this time of year because there's so many fun things that are starting to happen. Obviously, there's a lot of promos for June, 21-Day Fix and 21-Day Fix Extreme. So there's a lot of ways to help people kind of get started on their fitness journey and also save them a little bit of money. If you personally have done 21-Day Fix, you know what a game changer can be, not just physically, but just in your habits and in how comfortable you are eating clean, feeding your family food that you can eat on your meal plan. You know how effective it can be. So I'm going to challenge all of us. If you listened to the surge this morning, you heard Carl and Autumn talking about a big company push that they have, a big challenge that they have to just help a lot of people with 21-Day Fix and 21-Day Fix Extreme. And I'm totally on board with that because I personally had the best transformation in my 3 years as a coach with 21-Day Fix and 21-Day Fix Extreme. So I know that it works. So I want to ask you guys to kind of partner with me, partner with Carl and Autumn, and really kind of be very focused, laser focused on helping people with 21-Day Fix. Now, of course, 21-Day Fix might not be the best program for them, but for most people, it is a great starter program. It's a great introductory program. It's a great way for them to get to learn how to exercise, learn how to eat clean. So just keep that as a focused intention of yours. Maybe write it on a Post-it note so that you're just very intentional throughout the month of June to help more people with such an amazing program. So I'm excited about that. You guys, Summit is literally around the corner. So the things that we're doing right now in our business, the way we organize ourselves, the way we challenge ourselves, the way we sort of set ourselves up with goal setting is going to really make an impact on how we go into Summit and how we come out of Summit, meaning how we're going to finish the second half of 2016. So I know there are so many coaches on this team that have giant goals. And sometimes it kind of feels like there's a lot going on all at once, or I should say all the time it feels that way. And so that's why I'm so excited for Corey to talk to us today. You guys, Corey is just an awesome coach. I'm lucky to call her, or I'm lucky to call myself her upline, her sponsor. But Corey is a Success Club all-star, so she does not miss Success Club. Even if she has to get creative, even if she has to figure out what to do differently in her business to reach her personal goal in her business, she doesn't miss it. She's a Star Diamond coach. She's the founder of her team, Direction Dynasty, and she's a team leader on the Leadership Ladder, which says a lot about her leadership. So if you guys don't know about Leadership Ladder, definitely take a look in the FAQ or in some file somewhere in some group because there's tons of information there. And it's definitely something that should help you engage in your business. So today I'm really excited because Corey's going to talk all about balance. She's going to talk about how you can work a full-time job, lead a growing team, and still make your family a priority. You know, you've heard that before in this team. This team really feels strongly about prioritizing your family because if it's not for them, what is it for? What's all the work for? So I'm very excited, Corey, for you to share this because I can't think of a better person, a more qualified person to talk on this topic. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it right on over to you, Corey, and sort of let you take it away. And let me see here. There you go. Okay. Sorry, you were muted for some reason. There we go. You're good now. Okay, so I'm going to turn it right on over to Corey. And you guys, if she has time at the end, she'll take questions. So just listen to her and see if there's time. If not, feel free to ask in the coach family. I'm sure she'll be happy to kind of see what you guys have to say about the call. So Corey, thank you in advance for all that you're going to teach the team and all that you did to prepare for this call. I can't wait. I got my pen and paper. I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks, girl.
Hey everyone, so I am really excited to be here, and there is a chance that there may be a little bit of a delay, so just bear with me because I do have some pretty slow internet. So I'm excited to talk to you today about how I've made this business work. And how I've been able to keep up with having a full-time job and still making my family the most important thing. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Hopefully you can see those okay. So, like Brittany said, my call today is about balance, and it's to talk about working a full-time job, leading what is now a growing team, which is extremely, and making my family a priority. So there's a lot that comes with that, and I spoke because I think that it can be easy to get bogged down in excuses when you. And so this quote is something that really stuck out to me. I suggest that you become obsessed with the things that you want. Otherwise, you're going to be obsessed with making up excuses as to why you didn't get the life you wanted. So we all have we all have either jobs or families or kids or pets. We've got a lot going on. So how do we get through all of the rubble? How do we get through it and focus on our business? And it's not easy. It's really difficult. So having a plan and knowing exactly what it is you want out of this and always keeping that in the forefront is what's going to get you through. A little bit about me. 2 years made the decision to become a Beachbody coach. And at that time, I knew 110% that I wasn't going to be a coach unless I went all in. So I made the decision, I did a bunch of research, and that's honestly how I ended up on Brittany's team. And I just knew that I wanted something more. So at that point, I made the decision I was going to do whatever it took to get there. So at the time, I was working as a litigation paralegal, and it was a very full job, long hours of sort of work stress that you took home with you, and it was tough. So, the driving force for me. And I know of us on this call have a passion to quit our full-time jobs. And that's a big goal of mine too. But for now, it's my, and so at the time working as a litigation coaching, I got started and I really discovered that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know exactly when I got started if I was going to love it, but it became really clear really quick that this was a huge passion of mine. I knew I wanted to do this with my life. I knew I wanted the freedom, and I knew that that meant being able to do this full time someday. So that was always a big goal. That in the forefront of my mind and so lots of times, I talk to coaches who say, well, I work a full-time job. I can't do this. I don't have the time. And for me, it was always, that's what made me make the time. So a few things that I did, visualization. So this is something we talk about. It's something that I totally didn't believe in at first, because I just thought it sounded like the most crazy thing. My teams heard this story, and a couple other people, and I did these crazy things because it kept me in the right frame. So I began visualizing becoming a full-time coach. I stopped listening to music when I worked out, and I have visions of myself doing burpees, saying, I want to quit my job. Like I'm doing my job. I want to quit my job. And that was huge. Every morning in the shower, like I would talk to myself. So Bruce was already gone for the day. I'm home alone, and I would repeat my goals to myself. And I would say to myself, I am going to reach this rank. I am going to hit Success Club. I am going to become a full-time coach. I am going to make this amount of income. And I did that, and I did it every day. And it was something I didn't tell anyone. I was like a crazy person, but it always kept me in the right frame of mind. And every day I would go into work in that frame of mind, knowing that this was just a piece of the puzzle. This job that I couldn't stand, it was a piece of the puzzle to get me to my ultimate goals. So now you're in the right frame of mind, but how do you get it all done? So time management when you're working a full-time job is so, so huge. And it's honestly not something, I'm a procrastinator. I really am. But I knew what had to be done to get what I wanted. So some of the things that were huge for me was making sure that I posted on social media 3 times a day, no matter what, whether you or Instagram for you or whatever it might be, 3 times a day. And so for me, that meant I got up and I worked out in the morning, and I posted that. I would post, what I was eating for lunch, or just a selfie because I was sitting outside, or I was with dogs, whatever that might be. But just a glimpse into my daily life at lunchtime. And then there was when I got home from work. Sometimes it was 1 post, sometimes it was 2. But again, when I get to talking about honoring your family, those evening hours, they're tricky. And depending on what your evening looks like at home, you've got to be really careful. So maybe quick, quote from Pinterest, or maybe it was a picture of my dinner, or maybe it was a recipe of what I was making for dinner. What I learned really early on was that it didn't always have to be the best quality. I'm not saying put up a dark, crappy picture. I'm not saying share someone else's stuff. It has to be you, and it has to be original. But don't waste a lot of time playing with a million different filters and a million different, quotes to put on top of pictures and all of that. And, that stuff is important, and that will come. But when you're in the season of really trying to figure out how you're going to make this work, simplicity is your best friend. So, you have to honor that for yourself, and it can be tough because there's a lot of comparison in this business, whether we mean to or not. Coaches and thinking, I want that. I want my page to look like that. I want that kind of traction. But the reality is we're all living different lives. What we can do. So you want to just make sure you get the stuff done, but also know what you're capable of, and don't waste time trying to make something more. The other thing is, things like challenge groups. That's another. Your challengers are going to get results because you're a great coach. They're not going to get results because you have the prettiest graphics. So it's about your mindset, and it's really getting to a point where you are doing your best, and your challengers are getting your best. They don't need to know that someone else's graphics might be prettier, or that someone else has Zoom calls every morning. You've got to give yourself some grace. Along with this comes, so you're working your butt off and you're at work, home with your kids, and you're home with your husband, and you're walking your dogs, and you're and it can get really hard to sometimes just remember, and it can get really easy to get caught up in everyday life. So consistency is, and you've heard it a million times, consistency is so important in this. And I say it because it is. Those semi-great graphics that you're making, if you post them once a week, it doesn't matter because no one's going to see it. But if you're posting those every single day, no one's paying attention to the selfie they've seen on Facebook. They see you and they see your message and they see what you're about. And that's what's getting you connected with people. So, making the schedule, finding those little bits of 10 and 15 minutes, and then doing it getting it so that it's always consistent for you. That's going to be huge for you, and it's going to take a lot of stress and a lot of that anxiety. You can't do it all. If you know those few little things, then it makes it a lot easier. So I did that for a year and a half, and that was it really. I mean, I became a Star Diamond qualifying coach, working full-time as a litigation paralegal job, killing myself there, and just knowing that there was a light at the end of the tunnel because I had the right frame of mind. So I was doing the easy stuff. I was being a product of the product. I was posting about it, and I was connecting with people, and I was being consistent. It wasn't anything earth-shattering. It was those little tiny basic things that we're told from day. I just did it, and I didn't do it probably better than anyone else. I just did it, and it worked. So in 2015, I had the ability to leave my job as a full-time paralegal, and that was amazing because I had worked so hard. And I worked full-time as a coach for a few months, and then I was presented with an opportunity to go back to work at my current position, which is a mortgage account officer. Lots of people thought I was crazy. They're like, oh, you're coaching full-time. Why would you do that? Why would you go back to work? But for me, it was about the big picture again. It wasn't to make $500 a week as a Star Diamond coach. My goal is to retire Bruce and be able to live a life that we can't even imagine right now. It's a lot of sacrifices. I could have stayed home. I could have worked, just as a coach. But it's bigger than that. So I took this job as a mortgage account officer. I made my goals bigger. I took what I thought were big goals and I said, no way. If I'm going to do this, I'm doing gigantic, crazy goals, committed to doing whatever I need to for my family at this time to make them happy. Still 2 years as a coach. I'm, working full-time as a mortgage account officer. I do have a lot more flexibility with this job. So it is, my previous job, but it takes that same discipline that I taught myself from the beginning. And so even with a team of as many people as we have, it's still that same discipline, things that get me through. So now here we are 2 years later, and like I said, I have a pretty, I think, they're amazing, and they're so, and they are just such a big driving force behind why I keep doing what I'm doing. But as we all as coaches and as our teams grow, I mean, it's a lot of work leading a team. I think it's a lot of work leading my team. I can't imagine the work that so many of the coaches, because they just have huge thriving teams. So so here I am still working a full-time job. It's, I'm adding more. And how do we do that? How do we continue to grow? Like we're so stretched. How do you How do you make it work? How do you add one more thing in? And so, for me, it just kept coming back to simplicity. Don't overthink it. You know what needs to be done. So as a coach and as a leader, it's always been really important to me to we are such a blessed team. We have been given so many resources, and we need to use those. And it's really important because I could spend a lot of time recreating graphics for my challenge groups to make them more. I could recreate every video on YouTube so that it's my style. I could recreate coach info webinars. I could do all of these things, and don't think they aren't things I want to do, and don't think they aren't on my gigantic to-do list. The reality is those things, and making my own version of those aren't going to grow my business right now. And I have to know what I have for limitations. So I use a lot of stuff that Brittany has passed down. I have amazing success partners, and we worked together on projects. If we're coming up with new challenge group template, don't go in it alone. Don't make 21 new graphics. Team up with your success partners. Everybody takes, 5 or 6, and it's done. And you have an amazing, amazing thing that you can use for your challengers, and we're still true to your time restraints. So there's so many ways that we can do this. And I know it's tough, and I know we want to be different, and we want to be original, and we want to really brand ourselves, and we need to do that, but there's ways to do it without not holding up your end of the bargain when it comes to your time. So the other thing is, so we're growing these teams, and now we have leaders, we have trainings, we have all of the stuff we want to do. We want to see all of our coaches, we want to see them be successful and lead their own teams, and those are our ultimate goals. But how do we do that? How do we orchestrate all of that? So something that I sort of did because I had no other choice. I've always treated my coaches like leaders from the very beginning. New coaches, this may not work for everyone, but I really have a sort of the balls in your court kind of attitude, because you know what? I had to figure out how to make this work. Brittany was there, and she gave me a lot of guidance, but when it comes down to it, no one is going to do anything. So we're all our own. If you want this, then you've got to start acting like one. I am here for my coaches 110%, but they know I'm them. I don't have Zoom calls all of the time. I don't have team calls constantly. I'm not going to do a ton, because the reality is that you've got to make it happen for yourself. When my first year in coaching, I talked to Brittany once a month, and it just forced me to. I never went into that call without a plan. I never went in without questions. I was always prepared. I always left the call with a plan, and I always acted on it so that I would have something to talk about next time. Make a plan to continue moving forward. And that was someone forced me to do things that were out of my comfort zone. No one was going to do it for me. So I just had to do it. And I think that made me grow so much as a leader. And I think it's really important for my leaders too. And so that's sort of my attitude towards it. It may not work for everyone, but I've got to tell you, the coaches, they're amazing, and they have amazing teams. They have so much ability, and they are like so far ahead of me when it comes to so many things. And I honestly believe it's because they had no choice. They knew if they wanted themselves, and that's exactly what they've done. So, we're mentors. We're not anyone's bosses. And I think it's really important to keep that in mind. Really, really tough sometimes to not feel guilty doing enough or giving enough back. But what your role is. Your role is to reach your goals and to help mentor your team so that they can reach theirs too. So the last piece here, which is sort of the tricky piece. So we can work this business, we can everything in line, and we can think we're correctly. But sometimes it can be really tough with your family. And it can be tough in a few ways. More than just having time, but what they think you're doing and what we're doing is lots of time. And it can be really frustrating. It can be really disheartening. It's something that from the get-go, you've really just put it all out on the table. Whether they really hear you or whether they really understand, totally different story, and no one can really control that. But some of the things I've found that for me, and this was, again, trial and error. This was not easy in the beginning. Bruce did not think it was cool that I was staying up late at night on Facebook all the time. Like, he didn't get it. Looking back, it's because I didn't explain it. So balancing your family. My family it's Bruce and I and our dogs, and Bruce, a really busy logging company, and he is gone a lot. So anything to do at home or any sort of family obligations really fall on me because he's not here to do it. So I need to make sure it's very important for us in our relationship that it's done, because if he's coming home for days and things aren't getting done, then we're going to have a problem. So I had to find a way to still make my family abilities number one. So some of the things that have worked for me are family time is family time. I don't care, what, you've got to be present. And don't get me wrong, like if we're out doing something, I'll snap a picture and post it on Facebook. And he's okay with that because he understands that part of it now. But it took me explaining, this is going to take 5 minutes. I'm not working. I'm not taking time away from this. I'm just posting a quick picture. But family time, you're present, whether that means leaving your phone in your car, turning it off in your office, whatever it might be, but being completely present when you do have time. It also means having to say no sometimes. So for this call, my graphics could have been probably a lot fancier. I could probably be reading off of a script that I prepared right now. But the truth is Bruce last weekend, and that doesn't ever happen for us. So you have to adjust your plans. So you spend the 3 days with your family, because that's what's important, because you're not doing this if you don't have someone or something to share it with. So that was what was important all week, because I've been getting up early to make sure I got my workouts in, and I've been working till late at night, and that's just the way it is. So to make your family your number one responsibility does mean sacrifice on your part. I gotta tell you, I haven't watched TV in 2 years. I get up and I work until I can't anymore. Not every single day of the week, but Monday through Thursday, usually that's what it's the only way I know I can do what I need to do to make this work. You need to set XO. Bruce knows that when he goes to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, I'm not going with him. Like, that's my prime time. Like, I am retiring to my office, give him a hug, kiss, and I'm upstairs and I'm working for the next 2 hours. And that's an expectation that he knows. He goes off at 4:30 in the morning. it's because I've got to get my work so I can work from 6 to 8 and then go to my regular setting those expectations and making that sort of schedule is really important because it doesn't leave them wondering what the heck you're doing. It doesn't leave anybody questioning anything. That's just something important. So this quote I put up here, success is your duty, obligation, and responsibility. And I heard this recently in my personal development, and it really struck with me because I started to think. I was at a point where I was frustrated with my business. I was like scrounging club, and I was just feeling unmotivated and uninspired. But I was still spending the time. I was still going through the motions. I just wasn't doing the big things that I needed to do. This quote, and duty, obligation, and responsibility. If you're taking, it is your duty, it is your responsibility to become successful. If you are taking time away from your family, if you are not watching movies because you're working, if you are staying up late and doing these things, you better become successful, because what is it for? And it really struck a chord with them. It's been 2 years. I have been grinding, and you're like, where is this going? And then I heard, I have given up so much time and sleep and going out to dinner and watching movies and all these cool shows that people talk about. I have no idea what they're talking about. I better damn well become successful at this, because we are sacrificing. And whether you want it to feel like a sacrifice or not, it is. You're going to be successful, and that's just the way it is. And finding a way to do that, to keep balance, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of juggling. We're all capable of it. There's no one here that's not capable of it. It's just finding those few things you have to do. But if you're going to do all that, you better make it worth it. So, I hope it was a little bit helpful. If anyone has any questions, I can see the chat box. I think there's a little bit of a delay, but I can see you guys. If anyone has any questions. Thank you. You're welcome, guys. Thank you for spending your lunch break with me. Oh, I love that, Sydney. Yeah, shower. Get you everywhere.
That was awesome, Corey. All right, you guys, well, we're gonna close it out. You guys are awesome. I thought this was honestly one of the best calls ever. So listen to this again, share it with your teams if they weren't able to make the live call, and stay tuned for some more fun announcements and for future call topics and some changes that we're kind of gonna try out a little later in the summer too. So anyway, Corey, thank you so much, girl. You did awesome.